The recent Sony RX1R3 has been one of the most controversial camera releases of the year, second only to the release of the Sony FX2. I guess Sony is making some waves. Anyway, one of the criticisms of that RX1R3 is the 12 or so year old lens on it. If size wasn't an issue, I would argue that attaching this lens to a small Sony camera body such as the A7C II or the A7CR would make for a real RX1R3 killer, and at a fraction of the price. This is the brand new Sigma 35mm F1.2 DG2 Art, and it is quite simply the best 35mm I've ever reviewed. Now the crazy thing about this release is the original Sigma 35 F1.2 Art is from 2019, not all that long ago. Sigma also released the 35 F1.4 Art in 2021, and here we are in 2025 with a new F1.2 Mark II. That's a lot of 35mm lenses in a short number of years. This new Mark II is approximately 20% smaller and 30% lighter than the original, and it's pretty close to the size of that F1.4. The build is excellent, as I've come to expect from art lenses. Weight is 746 grams. Sigma has spent a lot of time refining the optical formula to not only improve sharpness, especially in the corners, but also perfect bokeh quality and correct for chromatic aberration. Inside there are 17 elements in 13 groups, an 11 rounded blade diaphragm, and there are now 2 focus groups, which means 2 HLA or high response linear actuator motors. The floating focus group improvement also affects focus breathing, which is now effectively nullified. This lens looks and feels very premium. It's made in Japan, where every single lens undergoes Sigma's proprietary MTF measuring system, so quality control is top tier. Now, I don't have a full frame camera that's going to push this lens to its limits. I do have a Sony A7C though, and so here are some JPEGs from that combination. Ready, set, go. If I was forced into the tough position of only owning one lens for my full frame setup, I think this would be that one lens. It gives you that 35mm field of view, which is similar to normal eyesight, but also combines that with f1.2, which means you get these impossibly blurry backgrounds with ease. It works just as well as a portrait lens as it does a street lens, as it does a landscape lens. The only thing you can't do with it is vlog. Optically, you get brilliance here. There's really nothing to complain about. Oh, there is some vignetting wide open at f1.2. It flares a little bit. There's a tiny bit of Loca. I really don't have anything else to complain about. This 35mm is tack sharp wide open across the frame. The colors and the contrast levels are exceptional. I haven't seen better chromatic aberration suppression performance from any lens that I've ever tested. The bokeh is smooth, clean, no fringing. It cat eyes into the corners, but it's never distracting or ugly or unsmooth. It's a brilliant, brilliant lens, truly. Focus breathing, what is that? Because this lens doesn't have any of that nonsense. Now, do you need f1.2? That is the question of this video. I don't think many people out there need it, but it's really nice to have, especially if you're working in nighttime, super dark situations. And the subject separation at 35mm is really impressive. There's no question in my mind that this is an absolutely wonderful 35mm lens. Now, inevitably, this lens will get compared to the Viltrox 35mm f1.2, a lens that I have a rough history with, so rough that I no longer have it. What I will say, however, is that this Sigma, just for the peace of mind, is worth every additional penny that you'll pay for it over the Viltrox. Pricing for this one comes in at $1,549, which makes it in the same ballpark as the Sony 35mm f1.4 GM. The Sony is a little bit cheaper, but this is f1.2, which commands a significantly higher price premium. Just for comparison, Sigma's own f1.4 lens is $989 US, which is a significant savings if you don't need that f1.2. That f1.4 is an incredible lens on its own. I highly recommend that one as well. And that's really going to wrap it up for this video. I know this was nice and short because, again, my complaints are very limited with this lens. I think that optically it's about as perfect as you'd ever want anything to be. And with most Sigma art lenses, that's why it's getting more and more difficult for me to review them, because you just can't find flaws with them anymore. They're brilliant in terms of autofocus, super sharp across the frame, the bokeh is incredible, the build is better than anything else on the market. There's a lot to like with the Art series. I think that you cannot go wrong if you're going out there shopping for your full frame camera. I'm super excited the fact that they released their first Sigma Art for APS-C, that 17 to 40 f1.8 zoom. It's been incredible, and I hope that Sigma continues to do this for full frame, but also trickle some of them down for APS-C. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite 35mm lens is for full frame sensors, because I'm curious, and let me know if f1.2 is worth it over f1.4 with a 50% or so markup. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.